Your story starts on the island of Corsica, a land that just lost its short-lived independence to the French Empire. Corsica, like many places, has its own unique features. The sweet smell of rosemary, thyme, and lavender fill the air. Jagged mountains cover most of the interior. Gorges are filled with pine forests, and towns are clustered behind thick walls for fear of pirates or colonial soldiers. In the city you live, the sea is everywhere. From the hills above Ajaccio, the blue waters of the Mediterranean stretch endlessly towards the horizon, broken only by distant sails drifting between islands. The air smells of salt, olive trees, and wood smoke carried from scattered stone houses below. Though your family belongs to the local nobility, wealth is scarce and opportunities are few on this distant island. But things look like they could be turning around for the better. You see, months before you were born, Corsica had been ceded from Genoa into the hands of France. Your father, who was strongly against French rule, eventually became close friends with the French governor, whom later became your grandfather. With his support, your father becomes Corsican representative to the court of Louis XV, and this boost in status grants you a royal bursary to the military academy in mainland France. After numerous days of tiring land and sea travel, you finally make it to the city of Autun, a place that catches you completely off guard. This city could not be any more different to Ajaccio. Unlike your hometown that was sun-drenched and open to the wide sea horizon, Autun sits in a bowl-like depression at the edge of heavily forested mountains. The town has a dark, gloomy vibe about it. The sky is a dark shade of grey, which subtly complements the dark stones used for most of the buildings in this place. It may be winter, but something tells you this place stays looking like this all year round. The people are no different as well. Most people here are deeply Catholic and very loyal to the French king. So a kid like you with slightly darker toned skin and a different accent would never be accepted. You are enrolled into a religious school for one main reason: to learn French. I mean, if you're going to be a great French leader someday, this seems like the obvious thing to do. Being from Corsica, Corsican and Italian are the only languages you know, and this is creating a huge gap in communication between you and your teachers. You spend hours a day memorizing French grammar, and you're learning remarkably quick as well, but you just can't seem to shake your thick Corsican accent. Now, just as you expected, other students constantly bully you because of where you're from, because of your accent, and even because of your name. This forces you to become a loner. Since no one likes you, you decide to keep to yourself, spending most of your time in the library reading mass and learning about the history of great empires. After spending 3 months in the religious school, you make your way to a military school in Brienne. Compared to Corsica and Autun, Brienne has a flat terrain and is incredibly plain. The school shared a similar look, with its only remarkable feature being a grand chateau owned by the local counts. Even though it is summer, the weather is still extremely cold and icy. You, being a boy accustomed to the sun, finds the situation very daunting. Similar to your time in Autun, bullying is a theme of the day. Only now, it's a lot worse. The school is full of spoiled rich kids whose parents are wealthy aristocrats. You got a royal scholarship to go here, which to them sounds more like a charity case, and they make sure to remind you of it all the time. That, and literally everything else about you. One day, having been fed up with the insults about Corsican heritage, you passionately defend Corsican independence and immediately get a swift beating for it, calling you a traitor to the king. But you don't cry or bow to them. You fight back with your words and fists. As it is now your nature, you stay reserved, not socializing with your peers but focusing on your studies. You find that you are exceptional at mathematics, and this draws attention to you from inspectors that basically introduce you to the world of artillery. 3 or 5 years at Brienne, you bolster your knowledge on mathematics and strategy, reading extensively on great figures like Julius Caesar and Alexander the Great. By the time you graduate, your academic record in mathematics earns you a coveted spot in the elite Paris military school. The scenery of this school takes your breath away. A massive central pavilion overlooks the vast plains. Everywhere you look, there are state-of-the-art facilities, from massive stables for cavalry training to classrooms specifically engineered for mathematics and drafting. The school is nothing short of amazing. But during your stay here, tragedy strikes back at home. Your father sadly passes away, subsequently cutting off all funding for you and your family. The military school is designed to take 2 to 3 years to complete, but you don't have that luxury anymore. And so you are forced to cram the entire program into just 1 year, and actually managed to graduate within that time, becoming the first Corsican to graduate from this school. This feat earned you a spot as a second lieutenant in the La Fère Artillery Regiment, the most prestigious mathematically demanding branch of the French army. Acquiring this position confirms something to you. With the right amount of work and dedication, anyone, even the child of a low-ranking noble, can rise to some sort of power. This revelation excites you, fueling your ambition. But there's still a huge problem in your way, and that problem is the French crown. It's 1789 and the French Revolution has begun. The monarchy has no path towards the top for people like you, only for those who come from wealth, so you side with the revolutionary army. Years later, you achieve your first major victory, the Siege of Toulon. The captains that are in charge of this campaign are making no progress against the British troops, but you notice something they don't. The lifeline of the enemy forces all lies within their naval fleet. Cut away the fleet and the city is yours. In order to do this, you make a plan to capture a strategic vantage point that can give you the advantage. But there's one problem. The British have built a stronghold blocking off the path to this vantage point, which your fellow soldiers nicknamed Little Gibraltar. No matter, you have a plan for that as well. You gather over 100 artilleries and begin a consistent assault against Little Gibraltar. When the stronghold has weakened to your satisfaction, you personally lead an infantry assault on the stronghold, effectively winning it from the British, even getting wounded during the skirmish. Having acquired this advantageous position, you begin to bombard the British naval fleet, and just as you predicted, they immediately order for a retreat, but not without setting fire to the French naval shipyard, effectively burning down more than 40 French ships. The siege ends in a huge victory for you and earns your promotion from captain to a general brigadier at just 24 years of age. Your success doesn't stop here though. It's 1796 and you've just been given control over the French army of Italy, which you use to conduct successful campaigns against Austrian and their allied forces. Fast forward a couple years and you are now leading an expedition to Egypt in order to disrupt the British trade routes. Now this particular campaign can be considered a mix between success and failure. You start off well, capturing the city of Alexandria and winning the Battle of the Pyramids, effectively securing control over Lower Egypt. But as time goes on, you experience some serious setbacks militarily, suffering defeats from the British on sea and having to deal with rebellions from the locals. On the positive side, one of the 150 engineers, scientists, and scholars you brought along with you discovers the Rosetta Stone. Inasmuch as this campaign is a bust militarily, it still increases your level of fame back in France. Due to unrest back in France, you secretly abandon the campaign in Egypt, passing control to another general, and return to France. There you take part in the coup that finally removes the Directory from power and places you as first consul, giving you complete control of France and ending the French Revolution. With your new power, you stabilize the economy, reform administration, and negotiate peace with several European powers. You also immediately consolidate most of the power to yourself, implementing a legal system called the Napoleonic Code and declaring yourself the first consul for life. In time, you and your hand-picked senators understand that in order to prevent France from falling into chaos in the event of your death, you decide to create a hereditary empire. An empire needs an emperor, but this emperor needs the public backing of a powerful figure, the Pope. You invite Pope Pius VII and crown yourself as emperor in his presence. Now your legacy is set in stone and you begin your global conquest. Austria, Russia, Persia, they all get a taste of your might. But in time, things don't go as planned. The year is 1812 and you are invading Russia. At first, the campaign is looking to be successful, but the harsh winter cold and Russian scorched earth tactics end up destroying a majority of your army. Other European powers take advantage of this and form coalitions against you, defeating you multiple times before exiling you to the island of Elba. Your exile on this island isn't all too shabby. You have a nice villa to yourself and you're also in charge of the whole island, so you transform the island a little bit, building roads and improving infrastructure. But the British are still keeping a close eye on you. How dare those bastards put you in timeout? You are Napoleon Bonaparte. When the opportunity presents itself, you escape from the island back to France with an army of 1,000 men. Upon landing, you begin an epic march towards Paris. Soldiers who were sent to stop you end up joining your side. King Louis XVII flees the capital, and you reclaim your throne as emperor in what is called the Bloodless Coup. But your return to rule doesn't look like it's going to last long. Britain and Prussia face you in the Battle of Waterloo, and there you suffer another crushing defeat, exiling you once more, but this time to the island of St. Helena. You now spend your days under the strict eye of the British Empire on an island basically made out of just stone. You fill up your days by dictating your memoirs, learning English, and even gardening. Funny, isn't it? You, a man who caused so much destruction, is now growing a bunch of weeds. It's 1812, and your days have become bleak and filled with pain. You are bedridden due to stomach cancer. The experience is painful, but also surreal. You drift in and out of consciousness, imagining yourself back on the battlefield commanding your troops or talking to your former wife. You can feel the cold hands of death creeping up on you, so you dictate your last will and request your ashes be spread on the banks of the Seine. With that, you are ready to die, with the image of the things you love most during your life filling your mind. You utter your last words: France, the army, the head of the army, Josephine.